Hello, this is Mike Chapman, author of Dancing to Nirvana, and I have the website dancingtonirvana.com if you want to find out more about my work. This is a video in a series about the unity of opposites. The unity of opposites is a concept that's common in all religions, especially their mystical traditions, also like in alchemy, and in indigenous religion. The unity of opposites is the mythical pattern. So this pattern is common in all religious, spiritual practices. What is that about? That seems really significant and important. So the pair of opposites I'm going to talk about today is death and life. They're opposites. We think of them as totally opposites, but in the mystical or mythical sense, they are unified, like we see in the yin-yang symbol. So first I'm going to talk about physically, the unity of death and life physically. When we witness a predator stalk and kill prey, most of us see death. But this is life, for without the sacrifice that prey offer, predators perish. All day long, every day, millions of creatures of all kinds are getting killed so that millions of other creatures, maybe billions of other creatures, can live. So death is absolutely crucial to life. So death and life are intertwined here. They're not opposites, they're unified. We can also think of it in a physical sense, and it has a spiritual sense too, that let's say soldiers and mothers sacrifice, and sacrifice is related to sacred. So soldiers often sacrifice their lives for the good of their community. They sacrifice, they die so that others may live. It's the same for women, especially before modern medicine. That women died in childbirth often enough that it was a major possibility, a major fear. But they had to be willing to give birth so that the community could thrive, could live, so that life would come forward. But they had to risk death and often died. A common example that we can think of too is bees. Often bees, many bees, kill to protect the hive and die in the process. So there have to be bees willing to die so that the hive thrives. It's absolutely crucial. So sacrifice is crucial for the survival of communities, and sacrifice is sacred. We can also see it in the mystical or psychological or spiritual sense as well. For instance, every hero myth ever sung tells tales of deaths, near deaths, and descents, followed by resurrections, resuscitations, and reappearances. So hero myths are spiritual and psychological stories about spiritual and psychological truths. And all of them have deaths and rebirths. So what is this about? This is like, for instance, like the death of the ego is necessary to have a fuller, more vibrant life. The ego has to be killed. Previous stale views have to die in order for a more expansive, open, life-giving view to happen. So death is actually absolutely crucial to spiritual and psychological life. We can also think of this in the sense that we have to get used to death. We have to accept death. We have to, in a sense, embrace death because death happens all around. All throughout life, family, friends, pets are dying, and metaphorically, there's loss of jobs, loss of innocence, divorce. These are all deaths that happen all the time, and we would be depressed constantly, not willing to go on, wanting to give up, unless we're able to accept that death is a part of life, that deaths literally and metaphorically are going to happen, and we have to accept them on some level, even embrace that this is what life is, that this is how life works, if we want to kind of keep going and live and give to ourselves and give to the world. So accepting death is absolutely crucial. Facing death means facing fear. And the feeling fear is related to the feeling anxiety. There are similar feelings. And the word anxiety comes from a root meaning suffocate, choke, strangle. So when you're feeling fear, you feel like you're dying. So you have to go towards death. You have to face the fear to grow, to expand your comfort zone, to expand your life. To grow and learn means facing fear, facing anxiety, feeling scared to death. Sometimes you have to go through feeling scared to death to move beyond that and to gain more life. An example of a hero myth is the Christian myth. Again, death and resurrection are absolutely vital to Christianity. Out of Jesus' death comes, in their view, eternal life. But also comes, I would say, what it really means is the death of the ego to have a more expansive life. Most of my work is based around rites of passage. And a rite or a ritual is an enactment of a myth. So I talked about a few minutes ago, hero myths, where there's always a death and a rebirth. And rites of passage are the same. Puberty rites involve the death of a child and the birth of an adult. A vision quest involves the death of the old you, the old vision, the smaller vision, and the rebirth of a new, wider, more expansive vision of life. It involves, yes, the death of old, crusty beliefs and the birth of newer, more life-giving beliefs. So death is absolutely crucial to life. Spiritual and psychological death is absolutely crucial to spiritual and psychological life. They're unified. They go together. Death has to happen for life to happen. Death has to happen for a greater life. So the unity of opposites, life and death, are absolutely crucial. They're unified, absolutely crucial for spiritual life, as indigenous people and mystical traditions show. My name is Mike Chapman, author of Dancing to Nirvana. You can also see my work at dancingtonirvana.com. Thanks.